of course, we got to talk some trades here, okay? And Jack Flaherty of the Detroit Tigers, formerly of the St. Louis Cardinals, formerly of the Harvard Westlake Wolverines here in Los Angeles, is having himself a resurgent season for the Detroit Tigers. Jack Flaherty, it looked like he was cooked. Jack Flaherty looked like he was going to be a back-end starter, that he wasn't going to realize the potential that he had a few years ago when he was really trending in the right direction and establishing himself as one of the better starters in Major League Baseball. Well, guess what? He signed a one-year prove-it deal with the Detroit Tigers, and he's having himself a really, really nice season. Jack Flaherty is back to being one of the better pitchers in baseball, and with the Detroit Tigers where they're at, they could be sellers at the deadline. This is from a Detroit Tigers beat writer. If the Detroit Tigers ultimately decide to sell, Jack Flaherty will be the top rental starter on the market this summer. Still only 28 years old. He looked like an ace on the rise when he put together a brilliant second half for the St. Louis Cardinals in 2019 to finish fourth in the NL Cy Young voting in his age 23 season. However, injuries limited him to 154.2 total innings over the next 3 seasons, and while he stayed healthy last year, the results were hit and miss as he finished with a 4.99 ERA, a 1.58 whip, and 148 strikeouts in 144 1/3 innings with the Cardinals and Orioles. The Tigers, they rolled the dice on a one-year, $14 million deal for Jack Flaherty in free agency, and I always looked at him as a potential rental candidate because, yes, the Detroit Tigers, where they're at, they could potentially keep him just because of the wild card, but they're sitting at 34-40 in the American League Central. And Jack Flaherty doesn't make sense for them unless they truly believe they're going to be all in on this season. And Flaherty is someone that would not cost a ton of top prospects because he is a rental, right? But he could absolutely factor in for this team's rotation in the postseason, especially if Yamamoto doesn't return, especially if Walker Buehler doesn't return to the pitcher that we saw a few seasons ago. We still have a lot of questions about the current rotation, right? How will Tyler Glasnow handle this increased workload? We're nearing uncharted waters for Tyler Glasnow, who is among the league leaders in innings pitched and games started. He's looking to set a new career high. So I look at Bobby Miller, definitely a young horse that you hope to be a foundational starter for this team moving forward. Same thing with Gavin Stone. But I think you can never have enough starting pitching. And I look at Jack Flaherty, and you look at his numbers, a 3.01 ERA, a 2.66 expected ERA. So his expected ERA is actually less than his ERA that he's posted. So that tells you that he's got to bend the bear of some bad luck at times. The FIP is at 261. The expected FIP is at 217. And the strikeout rate is back to where it was a couple of seasons ago. Remember back in 2019 when we saw him getting more swing and miss? Well, that strikeout rate is at 11.59 K per nine. And that's up from 9.23 last season. So the numbers really, really love Jack Flaherty this season. He's gotten back to kind of the pitcher that we saw a few years ago, and I'm all in. I'm all in on the idea of Jack Flaherty. I mean, 93rd percentile in expected ERA, 79th percentile in expected batting average, 95th percentile in whiff percentage, 94th percentile in strikeout rate, a 33.3% K percentage. The walk rate is at 3.7%. That's in the 96th percentile. Sign me up for Jack Flaherty. And I know you can look at the rotation now and say, oh, Kersh is coming back. They still have Buehler. Yamamoto might come back. We've heard that in the past. When are we going to learn that you need to go out there and make some proactive trades and not reactive trades, right? Last year with Lance Lynn. By the way, Lance Lynn just gave up another home run. But, I mean, you look at some of the reactive trades, you just don't want to be that way. I think Jack Flaherty is going to be hot on the market if he becomes available, and I'm definitely all in on him as a Dodger. And I think it'd be a great homecoming, too. I remember Jack Flaherty saying on a show once, hey, they asked him, what's your favorite stadium to pitch at? He said, Dodger Stadium.